Strategic managers are the key planners, analyzers, and risk leaders who establish strategic plan and policies in the business. They also handle the oversight and development of corporate strategies to support the growth and stability. As a general manager, one is responsible for improving efficiency and increasing departmental profits while managing companies' overall operations. I, Shaurya, on behalf of the Ladder Podcast channel, welcome you all to the episode in series of interviews. Today, we have Sqn Leader Rohit Chauhan, retired from Indian Air Force, on the panel, who is currently working as General Manager, Strategy and Policy in Adani Groups. Before I begin the interview, let us have a look at purpose and motto of our podcast channel.
Confusion is inevitable state of mind in all stages of life, be it the education, selection of life partner, or the job. More the options, more is the confusion. Despite being the exceptional military leaders, when it comes to transitioning from boots to suits, we again encounter the same confusion. Which job profile to select, what certification needs to be done, and where do we start are all questions that haunt the mind. We at the Ladder bridge this gap of unknown queries by interviewing veterans who are already well settled after their transition. We bring you their valuable experience and share guidance so that you all are benefited. Following the motto of once a soldier, always a soldier, we're here to fill that gap of mentoring and guidance so that bonhomie of armed forces fraternity remains intact.
All right. Squadron Leader Rohit has 12 years of vast experience in Air Force, and post-retirement, he has worked in Ministry of IT. He's an MBA graduate from Amity University and alumni of IIFT. Good afternoon, sir. I welcome you to this channel.
Good afternoon, Santosh. Thanks for having me.
Sir, can you tell us what was the key decision which helped you to switch from military to the corporate, sir?
Well, firstly, I think that goes without saying, I was part of the short service commission cadre of the armed forces. So we have an option of serving till 10 or 14. So, and I decided to, call it off in 10 years. And primarily the reason is that when you go outside in the corporate world, or whether you're going into civil services, or whether you're starting your own venture, whatever you're doing, so as early as you can is the best way possible. Second point is that over a certain period of time, when you serve a service, whether you're talking about any of the service, or even when you compare it with any job outside, generally after around 6 to 7 years of service, more or less, if you're working on a similar assignments, the amount of growth and the amount of learning is reduces. So it's a kind of a long diminishing return that works. So essentially what I mean is that after 7-8 years of service, whether you serve till 8 or you serve till 15, I think by and large the overall experience and understanding remains same. So if you start early, if you transit early, because transition is not only for a person, it's for the entire family. So once you transition early, you try and adapt to those changes, you adopt to a new culture, new way of life, new way of working. It's better it is. And when you prepared well, I think that's the way to go ahead. So it was in my mind, in back of the mind always, that yes, I have to leave early. So I thought, if I have to leave early, why not in 10, then to do it in 14? So I prepared well little in advance, or I would say try to prepare it in advance, and so that it can be a smooth transition. So that's the way I think it was.
Okay, sir. Sir, why did you prefer the corporate job instead of any government oblique PSU jobs?
See, when we serve in armed forces, there is a certain pattern, a certain protocol, and a way of life. And when we walk out in civil life, you found it little chaotic. I won't say that outside it's wrong, but it's different. So serving in uniform service is the best, possibly one of the best way of serving in terms of the government job, if I have to say. Because otherwise, if you're not from the UPSC cadre and you're not from the services side of it, which you're not because you've joined armed forces, so they're not very good lucrative good appointment, or you can say a good jobs which are left, which where you can actually deliver some change. Because essentially a short service officer is not looking a 10-year career or a 5-year career like a senior colonel saab, or a senior fellow in army. You are looking at a very long career, which is at least 20 years, if not more. So more than 20, 30 years when you're looking at a career, it has to be a major chunk of your life. So when you're trying to do that, you need to make it a very, very important that you have a right beginning, a right platform. So supposingly you started through UPSC, yes, then you had got a particular path. You started through defense forces, you had a particular kind of a path. In between, if we land up either in civil services, PSU for that matter, or any kind of a government establishment or body undertaking, I think by and large the jobs are intermediary jobs, wherein there is nobody who is coming up to take those deputations, coming up to take those assignments, or there is no defined cadre for those kind of jobs. So there may be in administration, there may be certain technical jobs which involves a lot of hardship, like in NTRO and other, wherein only Fauji's generally survive, so they take them. So the point is, you need to see what the long term your career is going. So that's one point. Second is, when you're coming out of a government service, uh, it's very another important factor is that financially you have got the right platform now to make yourself independent, if that's one of your goal. I'm not saying to become wealthy, because you can't become wealthy with a job. That's very simple. To become a wealthy, you need to be an entrepreneur. But to earn a good living or become financially independent, or you do certain kind of a job with a certain kind of a passion, you need to have the right amount of paycheck coming in. And so government job give you a sense of security, stability, which you have already lost because you're coming out of that job. So once you're out of the job, the sense of security and safety circle you have lost. So now the only way you can ensure a safety circle for your family, whether it's in terms of the finances for any emergency, or whether in terms of a short term and long term goals for your family and loved ones, that's money that does it. So money gives us freedom. Money is not life, but it gives us freedom to to undertake those tasks. So these are the two key important factor, wherein a corporate job gives you a better proposition, because it comes with own hardship. But hardship is there whenever you undertook any change. If you're doing a startup after army, there'll be a big challenge. If you're doing education, a challenge. If you're even going to civil services, less of a challenge, but a challenge. So since you have to undertake a challenge, it's better to take a challenge which is more conducive for your life. So primarily for me, being the person who has to undertake a lot of responsibilities going ahead in life, I thought yes, money is going to be a very important denominator to that. So that's was one of the key reason. Yes, for some people, they have good money in terms of their family, family assets and all. So they can take a call. Perhaps they can settle with a more passionate or some kind of a not-for-profit jobs, or something they're passionate about. They may go into writing, media, and any other passion they want to follow. That's okay. But if you're going into a hardcore salary job, you want to earn a living, it's you better make your mind clear, because when you go into civil services, your pay is going to reduce from what you earn in armed forces. So in a ladder of a career, you're, instead of going up, you're going down. So whether you're up for the challenge, so one should be very, very cognizant about it.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you tell us about your role in the Central Ministry, sir?
So yes, so I joined Ministry of IT because I worked for a very short tenure in JP Morgan, but Mumbai was not very conducive, and I didn't like the way of life there. I won't say I won't like, but it was not just gelling up with me and my personal life. So since I had worked earlier with Ministry of IT when I was in Air Force on certain kind of secretive assignments in terms of certain cyber strategies and certain policy endeavors of cyber. So I had a fair understanding how that work. And since I delivered certain good work there, I got an opportunity of interview, and I got selected there at a joint director level. And I worked there for considerable amount of time. And the responsibility there primarily was divided into two parts. One was certain to improve the e-governance and the IT infrastructure framework across the nation, so that citizens can access maximum amount of public services online without any physical intervention. So that's the overall framework under which there were multiple portfolio of projects. So I had one portfolio of projects which include famous projects like MyGov, which is a Prime Minister's portal. I had Open Government Data, another very important portal. That was another project that I was working, and various other, all projects were of strategic in nature, which were nationally important. So these were the project base. The second part of the responsibility, which is I think the most exciting to me and most eye opener, was the process of policy making. Now, the policy making is not something that you go and write some kind of an SOP, or that we do in any operational environment like forces. It's not something like guidelines. Policy is that when you think so broadly, you think from the every look and corner of the domain of industry, public at large, how things impact, whether in terms of finance, in terms of corporate, in terms of legal, in terms of technology. So you look to the bigger picture and the bigger lens, and see what blend you can create, so that the objective of creating that policy, whether you're trying to control a particular industry domain, or you're trying to have a some kind of a monitoring mechanism through a policy intervention, or you are trying to enable industry so that there is more and more foreign investments, there is more and more organic and inorganic growth happening in the industry. So these are the few important objectives which are there in general policy. So I worked with the civil services, and I think that's the one of the most exciting and beautiful learning that I had, and I was fortunate to have working in ministry. So I worked on a couple of important policy endeavors, like I worked on the data center policy of India for first draft. I worked on, which will soon be tabled in Parliament. I worked on the national cloud endeavor of creating a lot of standard guidelines for adoption of cloud services in India, and improving the investment in cloud infrastructure in India. We did empowerment of all the cloud service providers, including Google and AWS and everything. In addition to that, there were other policy endeavors of certain data privacy, like data protection bill, intermediary guidelines, certain strategic papers, writing concept papers, putting things in perspective. So it involves a work which involves research, understanding of technology, understanding of legal framework of your country in that particular domain. If I in terms of IT, then IT Act, Competition, Commission Act, and all those in e-commerce rules. So we define different rules and policy existing, and overlay that particular architecture, what you need to craft to achieve your objectives. Now, this is not something that you do in silos. The policy work has to be done in thorough consultation with all the external stakeholders, not only internal. And say external, it includes industry, it includes academia, it includes associations, civil societies. So you have to do thorough consultations, and also take a leaf out of the external, other countries, how other countries have gone about those, regulatory works. So you take a leak out of them, you learn from them. You also consult multilateral forums like United Nations, World Bank, and other, who has a key reports published, and who have a certain foresight towards the how market is going, where industry is going, where the world is going. So it's a total amalgamation of knowledge that you try to do and blend it in a form of a document which can serve certain national purpose. Of course, it's not that I'm not kind of a superhero, I did something like that. It's not that I'm trying to define that, but the point is, you become some kind of a spoke in the large wheel. And so in that sense, it was very satisfying that you're doing work which is of great importance and great learning.
Amazing, sir. Sir, if any transitioning officer wants to join such role in the ministry, how to go about it, sir?
Well, I think ministry roles are very rare, very, I mean, very rarely that get open core ministry roles. But if they do, I think the simple route for all government job, laterally when you apply is through the the employment news only. So you can monitor the, if you're interested in the IT and tech, then you can monitor the website of MeitY, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Ministry of Telecom, also DOT, Ministry of Communication. So you can monitor those websites also, but and thank you. So and also you can always keep a tab on the employment news. Therein you get vacancy. One caution I would like to say to all the people who are coming out is that employment news publishes thousands of vacancies, but believe you me, in a year, if you get 2 or 3 relevant in a year, I'm talking, which are actually a good opportunity, you'll be lucky, because most of them are about becoming some registrar or deputy registrar, or or some administrative jobs, which are, those are not job for a long term career, believe you me. Otherwise it would have been fulfilled by the civil services people who are there, who are already in that cadre. So these are, and you're starting from scratch, you're already served in a certain level of organization. So my core advice to all the people who are there, if you're coming out of 10 years of service, do not apply to a job if it's less than level 12. And if you're coming out of job after 14 years, then do not apply to any role which is less than level 13. Otherwise you will be very very unhappy, dissatisfied, and you will become far, I won't say junior, but at least you'll take a lot of time to get that seniority back and rise to that level. As per your seniority, your people less experienced than you will become senior than you, because in civil services promotions are not an issue if you're in the right cadre. And certain appointments of employment due, the jobs are, there is no promotion, it's only single vacancy. You can remain, you can just grow in terms of your financial increments and all, and you can stay on that appointment till you retire. Whether you want to do that or not do that, one should be very very prudent about it. So these days I've seen a trend, because everybody just applies like without thinking. So please do that, because in all the corporates, people are joining from the PSUs. The job that you're trying to join, people are leaving them and coming to corporate. I'm not praising corporate, but I've seen that's happening. Whether you talk about SBI, whether you talk about other PSUs like NTPC, SAIL, or any other jobs. The reason is simply that in a government job, either if you're in a cadre, defense or civil services cadre through UPSC, the career ladder is good. The opportunities of working, the appointments, and even the financial implications are decent. Otherwise it's not very good. The 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 growth is not directly proportional to the amount of work or what you brings to the table. So people tend to become lethargic, and procrastination sits in, and they stop giving their best, which of course it's okay when you think from only from the job perspective, that you're getting the same salary, it doesn't matter what you do. But from as an individual, it stops your growth, which impacts your personal life, your mindset, your attitude, and everything in life. So my advice is, whatever you do, either you follow a passion or you should grow. If you do want to do it in government, you find it right, please do it. You want to do it outside, please do it. So I think that's my take on it.
Okay, sir. Sir, please elaborate about your present role as a general manager in Adani Group, sir.
Okay. So I joined Adani as a head of public policy, head of policy for the group, defining policy ecosystem, because traditionally Adani has been into critical infrastructure services, which involves mining, renewable energy, power, and cement, steel, and all those things. Not steel, cement, and other things. So these are all critical infrastructure services. So they have a good policy ecosystem and good corporate affairs to manage all the external environment that impact business from those perspective. but now they are coming into B2C market through their Adani Digital Lab initiative, which is a consumer-facing business. And there are many other initiatives, which is a combination of digital business. They are building the industrial cloud. Recently, the data center has been inaugurated in Noida, which has been let out to Google also. So we're coming into digital space. Now, when we talk about the digital space, there is a similar external engagements and a similar kind of understanding need to be built from the stakeholder point of view. And the key impact to that also to the company like Adani is in terms of the cyberspace, because Tata, Adani, these companies experience maximum amount of cyber attacks from China and other countries who are very, very friendly to us. So because because they are a critical infrastructure service, any failure of service, any denial of service attacks, or any kind of ransomware there can potentially result into national embarrassment. So cyber posture, other digital endeavor, building cloud capacity, building industrial cloud, building data centers, and going and offering those services outside. So that's a complete digital portfolio, like an IT company is, because that is so big. It's a conglomerate. It has got a line of businesses and like different. So many companies can flow into just this river. So a new river has been established. So I was given a job to work from the cyber point of view initially, and then take from the whole group perspective from the digital point of view in terms of external engagement, whether working with association, government, industry, academia, and working on what impact does the external policies making on the business, and how should we go about engaging with the all the key stakeholders to minimize our risks and increase our opportunities of business and growth. So that was the role. But then with internal certain, and when after I entered and I realized certain what was the role is, what I'm working is very different. So I prepared a proposal and presented to them, and that was very well taken by the group CTO, who reports to directly to chairman Gautam Adani. He is the complete group CTO. So I presented a proposal to him, which was accepted, and so now my role has been changed. So currently I'm working as general manager, strategy, policy, and business development for international business expansion, or if you can say international business development for the digital business. So what we are looking at, my role involves working with various external, external stakeholders like NASCOM, government, industry associations, and working with the people who are impacting the business, like ambassadors of different country, wherein we were trying to expand, and other key forums, and like semiconductor associations, startup ecosystem, and other thought leadership engagement, which happens in various forums like CII and FICI and everything. So my work will be to, in terms of, from the policy context, to work and influence the advocate, do the public policy advocacy for Adani there. Second would be to develop core strategy and go-to-market strategy for our expansion of digital business, like our artificial intelligence business, AI labs is we are going to the US market for next year. So I'm preparing the complete go-to-market strategy for US business, how we can differentiate in terms of what we are offering, because we're not trying to become TCS or Infosys to offer digital services, but what we have as a strength in terms of Adani, to leverage it and then offer digital services to our client, to whom which we are already giving other critical infra services like power, or the cement, or any other line of products and services. So we are building strategy for that. So I'm building digital business strategy, whether we talk about other other emerging technologies, cloud, or data centers, how to pitch, how to go about it, what kind of strategy we should have, what we should present, so that salespeople can take over from there once we have established leads and all. So there's a kind of a business development activity, and developing business involves use of mind and creating the right strategy. So this is a kind of a job role I am into. It's a new shoes that I'm trying to fulfill. I'm really enjoying it, because that's what I really enjoy to do, thinking, and little ambiguity, wherein I have freedom to experiment, freedom to do things, and so to work in the front end of any organization. That's who I am. So right now I'm enjoying it, though it's very hectic and also involves sort of travel. So but that's the about it.
Sounds very exciting, sir. Now, moving on, do you really think that the technical and non-technical background of any officer transitioning from various arms and services really matter in choosing the corporate job, sir?
Yes, it matters. See, uh, I'm not trying to point out, but I've seen very senior officers now, 25 years of services. Let's take an example of a arts graduate who is an ASC officer, logistics. Now he's doing Scrum Master certification and trying to go into JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley. He may find a job because veteran hiring is on. There is less checks and balances as a what you're trying to do. But believe me, you can't make a career out of it. In long run, if you're not a computer science graduate, if you don't know at least basic tenets of what a data structure is, how does a code work, what is DevOps, what is CI/CD, so you won't be able to do that. It's not about management only, because the management, the traditional managerial approach has gone out of all the technology companies. They don't want managers. They want individual contributors who can manage also and who can deliver also certain things. So we need to be very mindful what I'm trying to do. It's not only about getting a job, and especially with the senior folks, because you are pensionable service, having pensionable service, there's no as such rush to go do certain radical things. You can take your time and find the job which is actually relevant to you, which may take time. I'm not saying that's so easy outside, but take some time, but do what's, I won't say suit you, but it's at least in some sense of overall skill and talent match, or I can say ikigai match to to your what skills you possess, what kind of area you want to work in. um, but having said that, I think if you are working in alignment with your core graduation or your core understanding of some kind of fundamentals of stream of schooling, or you can say like liberal arts, or suppose life sciences. Suppose somebody has done some degree in environment, and so he will be definitely be able to some make sense to some sense to sustainability. He'll be able to make some sense to ESG appointments and CSR and all those things. But if somebody so I think overall what I'm trying to say is, one should make a choice and distinction between, does it suit me, will I be able to do best out of it? That's what's most important. Because till the time, Santosh, if I am from a commerce background, and if I know what debit, credit and bookkeeping procedures, and I understand advanced concept of finance, certainly MBA finance will help me. Certainly going into and then further amplifying and going into a job which is maybe becoming an investment banker tomorrow will fit me more. So if I take up example for me, if I tomorrow go into operations domain of Goldman Sachs and try to work number crunching on Excel on finance number, I'll curse myself daily, and I'll not be able to become best at that. And if you not be able to do the thing in a best of the manner, you can't have growth outside. So what's the point of doing it if you again have to change? And once you're transitioning, it is easier to find a relevant job. But once you have settled into one role and then you want to change it, it becomes even more difficult to change that. So that is why I always say, please align your experience, your choice of work, your thought process. If you're passionate about something, you will be always be knowledgeable about it because you read about it. If you're passionate, you read about it, you practice it, it's fine. You need not to be a computer science graduate, but if you follow IT, if you do some kind of small coding yourself, if you have built a small apps or some kind of website for a passion, or some you like reading, even your school kid, your kids books, and you have some understanding of C, Java, so you have an inclination, what is what is cloud is, what data center is, doesn't matter whether you've done graduation or not, then it's fine. But if you just don't have an iota of it and you want to land up just for the sake of job, you're not helping yourself.
Okay, sir. Sir, as you were mentioning, tell us the importance of these certifications like Lean Six Sigma PMP and various options available, sir?
Mhm. So certifications are a double-edged sword. And when I say that, I myself had done PMP when I was, doing the resettlement course with IAFT. And uh, but today, when I look back and think about it, I would rather not do it. Getting a knowledge is fine. I should have studied PMP PMBOK book. I should have taken some kind of a small classes, maybe a couple of not more than that. And I think just have a basic understanding of project management or done a Google project management course from the Coursera, that would have been fine enough. There is no point giving a 45,000 fee for a certification which just do not add up to any direct contribution to you in finding a job. Till date, nobody has asked me where is your PMP certification. Nobody, and nobody will ask anybody. You write it, no problem. If you can justify that in the interview, if your vocabulary covers those kind of language, those kind of understanding and insight, you need not to show a paper to do it, whether it's about Scrum or anything. So an interviewer or industry is looking for knowledge and skills. They're not looking for paper. So paper you need for a thorough academic degree. So if you're doing an academic degree and you're spending on it, you're doing a full-time degree, I'm talking about, not online courses, then it's fine. Otherwise, certifications, it's better to do a learning or a project-based learning. Like if you're trying to do Six Sigma, just don't do Six Sigma of classroom wherein the 50 people have completed the certificate and you have got the green belt or some kind of belt certification. You will forget in 5 days and everybody will. The point of doing a Six Sigma is when you do it at the highest level, that is black belt, you do it with a project, actual project, do a classroom based learning 3-4 days, do an actual project implementation, a small process you optimize using doing some kind of calculation and properly you document it. Then when you use it in a vocabulary or telling a story in any kind of interview or any kind of questions, it will make sense. It will make sense. Then your money is worth of it. So it's just don't get into the race of doing it. Firstly, what domain you're targeting. If you're going into operations, Six Sigma makes sense. If you're going into projects, PMP makes sense. But if you're going into IT project management, PMP don't make sense. Better do Prince 2 or and do ITIL service management course. So there are different certification and libraries and knowledge available. There is enough free gyan available on YouTube and Udemy, very cheap courses are there. Utilize them first, then do a certification if at all you require. And better to avoid to go for a complete examination based fee based certification. Try to have the knowledge and leave the paper of name of certification. It's not required. You can write in your resume, you have an understanding, that's okay. People will ask question, people will not ask him show me the paper. So that's my humble take on that.
Okay, sir. Sir, you have pursued your MBA during your Air Force service. So please tell us the importance of this MBA with various options like distance, executive, or full-time. Which one is the relevant and how useful it is, sir?
Okay. So firstly, in terms of my MBA, I till date, I never felt it was useful. I think it was just everybody is doing it. I also did it. So I won't say it was the right decision, honestly saying. Second coming, which one is right, what to do and all those things. See, if you're actually making sense out of an MBA, if you're trying to do an MBA properly, once you get out of your 10 years or 14 years, whatever is the time frame, do prepare for GMAT 1 year prior. It's not a very tough exam like that. Do prepare, do a 1 year full-time MBA properly. It's worth doing, believe you me. If you land up a job in McKinsey and Bain and those kind of companies, and you go into, whether you go into consulting or any other base, the ladder of career, the promotion ladder will be very, very different. So what I'm trying to say is, don't look at it that you'll start from a mid course job, you will not get a very senior job wherein you are so much experience and all those things. No, even if you're experienced, your career experience cannot give you that kind of seniority and career ladder ahead what a global MBA can. I'll give you an example. uh, Career of an IITian career, I would say, growth of an IITian, or the speed of career growth of an IITian is very different from a conventional engineer. An IITian in 10 years, in a decade, on an average, becomes CTO of any organization. Can a normal engineer can? He cannot even in 25 to 30 years. So no matter what people say, 1% people are there who don't need a brand. I agree. 1, 2%, 5%. But when I'm talking about general people, you do need a good brand, a good platform to say. So if you want to work in India, ISB is one of the greatest brand. Similarly, all the IIMs. So if you try to find a 1-year course from there, it will help you not only replenishing your skills, but also in terms of giving you a right platform and alumni connect. Similarly, global MBA, if you want to work outside, settle outside, global MBA is the way forward. So if you're actually serious about MBA, do that. Otherwise, don't waste time on the correspondence contact program. These are just for your mental satisfaction or kind of a dopamine satisfaction that you are MBA. It just don't add up to anything in your career. And outside, when you become experienced, you get job with your because of your experience and and the value or brand which you carry, being from armed forces. Armed forces is a great brand. That's what for which you're getting a job. You're not getting a job for a distance MBA. So please remove all those myths from your mind. You want to do an MBA, you're most welcome. You should actually do some kind of academic degree coming out. All should actually, but do it from a good college, a good brand, properly, full time. So those in between things are no use. It's better not to do it altogether.